Good evening, good evening, good evening, good people. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday to all of you. I'm Alvin King, and this is a new episode of He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. Happy Father's Day weekend to all the fathers out there. I want to give a special shout out to all the fathers that are out there. I know a whole bunch of you that are out there. And you know what? If I could have all of you on the show in these little frames that you know that I know, and and let you know how much I feel about you, I would definitely do that. But I want to give a special shout out to all the fathers out there. And how's everybody doing? We got a new holiday, June 19th, Juneteenth. How about that? How about we thought it was going to be next year, and they sprung it on us this year? Okay, so for all you federal government employees, I know that was a shock to your system. But you was so happy to be home. I know you was. But I hope everybody's doing very well, very well. We have a fantastic show for you tonight that I've been wanting to do for years, and I'm going to share that later. And it's our Father's Day series, and we have two incredible fathers, men, husbands, and not exactly in that order, but they are on our show tonight, and we're going to speak with them and share them with you. But before we do all that, I need to get my co-host in here tonight, and Mr. Vosh Cody, come on in here with me. Vosh, how you doing, man? How you doing?
Hey,
how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We are all in the house.
We are all in the house. I know. Okay.
Hey, everybody.
well, since everybody, Vosh, how? First of all, Alvin and Jason, how are you guys doing?
Great.
You're doing great.
Awesome.
I do have an introduction for you, so you have to sit through my introduction because I'm going to introduce you. I was expecting you all to be backstage for a minute, but you know that's showtime.
Yes.
Vosh, how's your day going?
Thank you.
How's your day, Vosh?
My day has been really pretty fantastic. The weather's been beautiful. It's not been too hot. Everything has been sort of flowing together in ways that I could not imagine. You know, serendipity is my favorite word, and everything's been really pretty serendipitous. I'm really excited to be here because I think this show is going to be really fantastic. We have two really amazing people on. But it's been good. It's been good. What's it with you, Alvin? Your birthday was this week. How was celebrating your birthday?
My birthday was this week. It was on Wednesday. It's still going on. It will be going on through the weekend. For those of you who follow me on social media, you'll probably know some of the places that I will hit or some of the things that I'm going to do. I'm not finished celebrating my birthday, and so I'm still in birthday mode. Thank you so much for asking about that. But I'm going to move on to the show because we have Alvin and Jason here, ladies and gentlemen, and I just got to give you my introduction on them because these are probably the most down-to-earth, fantastic, wonderful men that I've ever met in my entire life. I promise you. I promise you. So tonight, we have as our co-hosts two extraordinary men born on opposite ends of the world who actually met in 1998 and have now been married for 11 years. That will share with us their journey through coming out, finding love, starting a family, raising two beautiful children. But together, they have started the Alvin O. McCray and Jason M. Rudman Scholarship at the Point Foundation that grants scholarships to LGBTQI students of color attending a community college and focused on an area of study in social justice, criminal justice, and public policy, who have the vision and the determination to change the world for marginalized communities. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the He Said platform tonight. Our special guests, Alvin McCray and Jason Rudman. How you guys doing?
That was wonderful, Alvin. You did a great job, man. Thank you for that.
See what you all don't know. Again, they are so down to earth. And even when we were going through our interview and we were talking and going through, trying to put the segment in place, I'm calling them phenomenal. If they had it their way, they wouldn't say that, but they are phenomenal. And you all are going to find out tonight just how phenomenal they are. So thank you both for being here. It really means a lot to me to have you here. It does. It really does. So I don't know if y'all ready to. Oh, I told them backstage, ladies and gentlemen, that they're on the whole show. We got a couple of surprises for them. You know, I told them act like they're in their living room. We all in our living room or someplace, but I just want you, you know, nothing, you know, no pressure, but just want y'all to know that we have you the whole night, and when we let you go, that will be it. So let's get this started. Now, I do want to ask you a question though. Actually, both of you, but both of you. I was trying to figure out a way to, when I asked you this question, to, you know, speak to our viewers, to let them know who you are separately, even though you're together. And so I thought, well, let me just ask the question straight from my heart, because I want to know, and I know we want to know. Let's talk about your coming out story. Can we talk about that a little bit? Can we talk about that?
We can, for sure. But first, we want to thank you, though, however, for this opportunity. The introduction was wonderful. You all have been great. We just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because we love opportunities where we get to come together and, you know, share our story, and also educate our audience at large where we can, because we believe in what we found is something very valuable, and it's a gem. So we like to just spread that, and it's love. So I'll let Jason begin if you want.
Oh, I thought you were going to go first.
Oh, you go first.
I love it.
Well, I will say, you know, very different. But let me also start. You know, for me, Alvin and Vash, you know, first and foremost, I'm an ally, because this is about men of color, right? And so, first and foremost, I show up as an ally, and I really, truly believe in John Lewis's words that my responsibility is to get into some good trouble on behalf of what we represent and what I really believe the world is about. So that's where I start. My coming out story. I grew up in England. My family still lives there. Grew up on what at the time was the largest housing estate. They're called housing estates in England. Low middle income, wasn't a lot of money to go around. A lot of, you know, and I grew up in a pretty inhospitable place, about 250,000 people. I was bullied as a kid. I really couldn't wait to leave. So I moved to London, and my coming out story is essentially, it was Boxing Day. If anybody knows what that is. It's the day after Christmas Day. It's the day after Christmas Day in England and the Commonwealth. Okay. I had left home already. I was 21. I was, you know, while I was at home, I was trying to figure out who I was and what my role was, you know, who was going to be in the world. And as I said, I moved to London. I was at university. I found a group of friends that were as diverse as the world could be, that, you know, it's college people, even back in, you know, that was the late 80s, was, you know, they were open. You know, I got treated to learning about jazz and you know, learning about soul from a place that like didn't have it. All of that's really important, because it instilled in me a confidence where I could go back home. And on Boxing Day, I remember my mom was vacuuming the carpet. She liked to vacuum every single day.
Oh, she must know. She must know me. Okay, because okay.
She vacuums the carpet every single day. Didn't have the best relationship with my dad growing up. My mom and I are like tight. I'm a mama's boy at heart. And I had somebody waiting. A friend of mine was waiting in a car you know, outside my house, because if it didn't go well, the exit was going to be jump in the car, go back to London. And, you know, I just basically, you know, plucked up the courage and said, look, I've got something to tell you. And she's like, her first reaction, nothing wrong. You don't have cancer. You're not going to die. Like, you know, that was her first reaction.
Right.
Yes. I was like, no, it's none of that. I said, you know, ultimately I've realized that, you know, look, I'm gay. And she took a moment and she got upset. But her upset was connected to the experience that she'd had with me being bullied. And she said two things, and then I'm going to pass it to Alvin, because these are contextual, I think. The first one was, you know, what I'm really afraid, I'm not worried about who you are and who you love. I'm worried about how people are going to treat you and the opportunities you won't get because of you being gay. Because again, context, this is 1998, London, not particularly hospitable, the government trying to eradicate. This was 1991, I should say, and the government trying to eradicate LGBTQI or any notion of that from education, from public discourse. So it was a pretty inhospitable time. Mm-hmm. And then number two was, and I think you'd make the best father in the world, and that's not going to happen.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, I wasn't.
Talk about irony.
Right. Well, her context in 1991 was there was no, I didn't know anybody. Like, I didn't know anybody. She wasn't seeing gay men or even,
Yeah.
lesbians at that point, right? Like having families. That was not how we were talking about LGB people at that point. I'm not even going to go TQ and I because it was LGB at that point.
At that point. Okay, I'm sorry. You hit a nerve. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you, Jason. Go ahead, Alvin. And I'm going to say something after that. Something that you said, Jason. But Alvin. Well, I mean, when you said that, one of the reasons that this show is important to me, and any show or any platform that I have to talk about fathers and how much respect I have for fathers, is because my father was not a good father in my life either. And so for me to see people like you and Alvin, fathers like you and Alvin, men like you and Alvin who have kids, I don't have kids. I am just so elated to see you doing what you do. So if there's any opportunity that I can do it, I'm sorry, I will give you guys.
That's great.
Thank you.
Give you guys a mic. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I do want to say that my dad, my kid's granddad, because that's who he is phenomenal, right? So we've repaired, we've made it work. It wasn't the best, but somehow we came back together.
That's important
because of him, actually. But we get into that.
My coming out story probably pales in comparison compared to Jason's and many others. So I don't really have a coming out story. As a kid growing up in a small town of Pennsylvania, you either thought we didn't know what gay meant, but you either thought I was light and loafers, or you didn't. Because basically I was a creative kid. I liked music, I liked dancing, I liked all the arts. I was an actor, still an actor, but in that small town, my father was very prolific in my life. He was a business owner. He was a pastor of a church. But this is all through the journey of my life. But as a child, he shaped us. He had us in sports. He had us engaged in the community. He was an executive in affirmative action. So he taught us civil rights. He taught us about how to be somebody more than anything else. And then growing up, I went off to college. Then I moved to New York. And it wasn't until like 1997 or 8, actually, I hadn't met Jason at this point. It wasn't until 1998 that I came home, and my dad and my mother and I were at a restaurant. My dad said to me, "Yeah, I heard, there's a rumor, somebody said you might be gay or something like that." He goes, "Yeah, you never came home and said you was gay. You never said that." He goes, "But if you are, I just, you just better be the best gay you could be."
Super gay. You must be super gay.
Just be the best gay you're going to be. Your idea of whatever it is, just be the best at it. Because I never came home with my parents and said, "I'm gay. This is how it's going to be." The girls stopped coming, or the relationships that I had prior to Jason stopped coming, and then Jason started to come. Once he was the friend that came, then he was the guy he's living with, and then the third time he's like the friend. So people started to pick up, and I never said I'm gay. And it wasn't like I was hiding anything. I just never felt the need to, insult my parents' intelligence. They know me. There was no education needed. I was going to live by example. And then 23 years later, he's still here. He's my first boyfriend, the first partner I've ever had, the only partner I've ever had. And so there wasn't really a coming out epiphany. It was just really a self-awareness of identity and how I was going to present myself. And then my journey from 28 when we met was to be, how am I going to shape this into the man that I'm going to be? How am I going to be? How am I going to show up as an honorable and respectful person like my dad wished for that? I mean, obviously I was going to be that anyway because I was raised there and I was raised by him. But here we are. We evolved into this, into fatherhood, right? And it's just like a continuation of what I already knew as a child. So there was never going to be let's have this thought out discussion of how we're going to be fathers, or she will be fathers, or I'm going to be a parent, and if you're not, we can't be together. That was never in our ecosystem, if you will. So I feel like I've just evolved into the proud gay black man that I am. Really with no strings and no drama attached.
So let me ask you a question, and Bosch probably wanted to ask this question, but I got to ask it. So when you guys met,
Yeah.
And I know you kind of briefly touched on that.
Right.
Were there discussions up front about you guys wanting to be parents, or when you were what was that part of coming together about?
Parenthood part?
Well, just did you talk about it, or at what stage of when you were dating, or
how did you meet, really?
Oh, how do we meet?
How do we meet?
Oh.
Yeah.
The classic. I won't tell it because I get grilled by all my friends when I tell this story because they look at their watch and then their calendar.
Yeah. Because it might go on for a long while.
So I'm not gonna tell it.
All right. Short story short. I had been to my best friend.
Short.
It's short.
Okay.
Yeah. Short story short. I easy target.
Brian.
I have been to my best friend's wedding in Nebraska. I had a car accident. Barely survived the car accident. Was at Crunch Gym on Christopher Street, rehabbing my wrist. Kid you not, on a Sunday. Alvin and I are literally the only two people in the gym, because you have to think back. This is 1998. Like, I'm doing rehab. I've got like a Sony Walkman on, and I'm listening to Biggie. In the sun, and I'm like bobbing my head, and I'm like, and I look up, and he's looking at me, right? Yeah. And so I ultimately, because I was brazen probably back then, I basically took my headphones on and was like, not like what do you want, but
well, he's looking at me because I just got off the treadmill or whatever pre-core, and I was walking towards him, and I was mouthing to myself, "Why is a person working out with an ace bandage?"
But I couldn't hear that, so I was like,
"He's like, what'd you say?
What did you say?" Like, because I could see you mouthing.
Oh,
I was like,
and that was shady. You know what I mean?
But it's really weird because it was just that, and it was nothing more than an interaction.
Right.
Then we saw each other again at the gym, and hey man, how you doing? Like it wasn't like, oh, let's, remember we met when you put 25 cents into a 9X phone,
right?
And you had a beeper on your hand, and you wrote the number on a piece of paper.
Right. So it wasn't that thing where, okay, here you are in the gym and Alvin's walking past, and like you see on TV, and you just happen to look back and you just can't, and Alvin looked back, and then the rest was history. It wasn't like that.
No.
It was shade.
There was none of that.
There was no lust involved. It was a weird curiosity the whole time, probably for a month. Because after we left the gym, I saw him again at the gym. I was like, "Oh, hey, you're that guy."
It was just very much that.
It was very much that. Yeah, it was just crossing paths. And then I think the penultimate moment is when I was at my apartment. I lived on Charles Street in the West Village, and he was leaving the gym, and he called and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm making dinner with a friend. Come on over, had dinner with us." So he came over, and we played. I had a piano there, so we played the piano.
That was the moment. That was the moment, though. So he knows how to play the piano, and he played Stevie on the piano, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Hang on a minute. We might need to take a relook here, right?" It was just because it was great conversation. It was just a really, really, it was a moment. Yeah. And then he walked me to the elevator, and we pressed the button at the same time and got an electric shock from the elevator. It was like, what? So that was like, when you say there was no spark,
right.
that was the spark.
We looked at each other for longer than 3 seconds. Yeah, we broke the 3-second rule. We're kind of like, what just happened? And we stared at him. This first time I was like, oh,
when you're walking on carpet,
right?
On carpet, and we got one of those static shocks. Yeah, that was the spark.
Wow. Well, it's Alma Gill is here with us, and she says the best relationships don't start with the lifetime moment, but yet yours started with that stereotypical or romantic spark.
Yeah, it's insane, because after that was weeks of me really going in saying,
do I want this?
What is that? Like, what is that? And it took some other friend to say, you're gay, Alvin, and you just need to be okay with that. And I think the waterworks, I just like let it all go for like a half an hour of just tears of like, wow, letting a lot go. And then I was able to look at him differently and figure out this thing, right? This thing called that spark. Right?
I have one question, if you could answer real quick. So at what point did you get Jason's, or did you all exchange numbers after you met, and because at what point did you exchange numbers? I just because
second time.
Okay.
In the locker room.
In the locker room.
With everybody there. Okay. Like, hey, in the village. Oh, here's my number. Okay, cool. Okay. Alvin and Vance, I thought Jason was straight. from the moment I saw him, even with the number exchange, because it wasn't like until he came to my apartment, because we didn't tell you when he came to the apartment and he went home that night, he called me back and I was like, yeah, what's up? He's like, I made it home. I was like, that's cool. He goes, I just want to tell you, I'm kind of in this relationship with a guy. Is that okay? And I was like, that's cool. That's fine. Okay. That's what he told me. And that's when he told me he was gay. Before that,
I just knew, because I thought he was straight and I just need to make sure he was cool. It was, again, different time period.
We were kids.
Oh my God! How times have changed.
Yes, they have.
Yes, they have. Okay, how things have changed. Well. Okay. So I know that there was going to be a question that would come up from one of the viewers. So when did they exchange numbers? Okay, but we've cleared that, ladies and gentlemen. So don't email us, later on and ask us that question. So
I just want to remind everybody, you still had to have a roll of quarters in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. Now to the parenting piece. That again, when couples meet, I don't know at what point did you guys, after you met and you developed a relationship, when did that question come up or topic come up as to whether or not we should have kids?
I remember, it just hit me just now. Remember Queer as Folk, that show, Queer as Folk?
Yeah.
There was an episode in Queer as Folk about marriage, and that sparked the conversation around 2007, right? And then shortly after that, we were like, oh, let's wait on that. Then kids came up in the same show, and we're like, oh, kids. And I'm like, yeah, I was going to have kids. We should, and then we talked, we just said, yeah, we're definitely gonna have kids. Like, well, no, you said I definitely want kids, and I said I definitely want kids too. We were still boyfriends. We weren't even married. We were together only 6 years, 7 years.
2007.
Do the math. 9 years at this point. We felt like it was going to be a lifetime between us, although it wasn't. That was not confirmed, but we felt strongly about it. And then you actually looked into that agency.
I did.
You and I went and did an informal with them.
Yeah.
A round table, like a bunch of people sitting around, like the new thing, like gay guys having kids. So there's like gay guys, mostly white, sitting in this room, and we're sitting there together, like trying to find out, well, what's the nugget? What's the takeaway besides the price point?
Well, I think a couple of things. I think, first and foremost, I believe in my soul that it was always part of my destiny to have kids, whatever way, shape, or form, whether they were biological, whether I was, Uncle Jason and like had a really, really close relationship, whether it was adoption, fostering, like some way, somehow, I think both of us individually and collectively felt that was going to be part of our journey.
We did.
I think, we started that, that conversation started in I think 2007, 2008. And, for us, we had identified that we wanted to go the surrogacy route, and that at the time, it was then you've got to start saving because it was prohibitively expensive, even though the first conversation that we had.
Right.
And, and I think there was also a part of us that also wanted to see the world. So we've also been really, really fortunate that we've been to the places that we wanted to go to as, together. Throughout the world. And so I think you get to the point when you're ready, right? You're really ready. I think it's, we just turned 40 and we said, what's this process going to be? Because we also didn't want to be changing diapers and getting up in the middle of the night at 50. Right. Like that was so I think, turning 40, you say, hey, what do you want this next decade to be? And that next decade for us was fatherhood. And so then begins that process because
we got married.
We did. Yeah, we got married on your 40th birthday. Well, we lived in sin for 12 years before that. But I'm just saying, we got married on your 40th because at that point we actually got married in Connecticut. We lived in New York because it wasn't legal in New York, and we felt that it was the right time. Right. So I think the journey in our 40s was fatherhood was what we wanted to accomplish together.
Right.
And so then you begin the process because it just, it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
Like it's a process of saving and getting matched with a surrogate and finding an egg donor and then going through that experience of, are you going to be pregnant? If you're going to be pregnant, is it going to make it term? So we've been through all of that twice.
Right.
So go ahead, Vash.
It only took you 2 times with
Well,
the surrogate?
we were lucky. We
Yeah.
when we first had the first transfer, we did 2 embryos, one of mine, one of his. And so you all know our children, we have an egg donor, their mom, if you will, the donor mom. So their siblings, based off of that, coming from the same egg, if you will. Right. So Jason and I fertilized a batch of eggs from this one donor, from the one donor. Right. And so we froze those, and we knew that when we were ready for the transfer, we would transfer an embryo from me and an embryo from him. The first transfer produced only one because one of the eggs vanished, vanishing twin syndrome. So it lived for about 4 weeks, and then it dissolved into Roman, because that's who was born
Which,
first.
believe me, that's 2 kids in one.
He's a Gemini.
And he's one. Just happened that we got 1 kid.
Everything. And then 2 years later, we knew we had to balance that out. We took an embryo of the father who wasn't a Roman. Now, catch this. We never did a DNA test of who was the parent or the biological father of the first child, because we didn't really want to know who was biologically. It was our kid. So we embraced that. There were no telltale signs because their mother is also biracial. So we didn't want to, we just lived in that moment for a little bit. And for no rhyme or reason, we just felt just comfortable in that space. But we knew that when we were going to have the second kid, we had to see who the DNA was of that father to transfer that embryo into the second surrogate.
Now, I think if you look at, so if you look at the kids, right, Roman kind of, has, I mean, I think we wanted to go through the process without it being confirmed, right? Yeah. And I think, if people looking in would say it's kind of obvious, right? But for us, we had never had that confirmed. He has 2 dads on the birth certificate. Right, Eden has 2 dads on the birth certificate, but again, that process was between the IVF clinic and the lawyers to make sure, obviously, that whoever was not the father of Roman biologically was the egg that we transferred to the second surrogate. Right. And Vash, we were blessed beyond measure because both times we got pregnant.
Yeah,
wow,
that is amazing, because there are gay dads who try multiple times to have kids. So it was definitely destined for you guys to become parents.
Yeah, we understand that.
It's a blessing.
It's a blessing. We don't take it for granted one moment.
Well, what's it like to be dads?
You want to see the below half of this conversation?
Well, because Alma has a question we're going to get to in what y'all said when we talk about who combs the girl's hair. We're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah, what's it like to be dad?
Here's the thing. I have to get better at that, right? I know how to pull it into a good ballet bun.
Right. Yep.
I know how to pull it into a ballet bun.
Did you say a ballet bun?
Yeah.
Did you say a ballet bun, Jason?
A ballet bun.
We call that a snatchback.
Snatch, right? And I think, and I can do a pretty good Afro puff.
Okay.
Another snatch. That's a snatch.
But I mean, Alvin, his dedication. I mean, he bought a life, like a head with hair, and he taught himself how to braid.
I would sit up in the night and watch YouTube videos and seriously get frustrated, sweating, angry, want to rip the hair off this thing, but just persistence and asking cousins, what's the true technique? Like, am I doing it right? And getting validated. And the babysitter, we can't forget that. The babysitter was the first one who showed me how to really do cornrows, and she's like, don't get frustrated, breathe. I would sit up 3-4 hours a night watching YouTube videos. I still watch YouTube videos just to make sure that I'm doing it right. I'm not really confident, but
I have not watched the YouTube videos. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah,
So what is it like being father? It is the most grounding, remarkable, trying, exhausting, satisfying job in the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could sign that. Every word.
So I'm going to go off script a little bit, as I often do. Okay, we're coming out of the worst pandemic that I've ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? And with COVID, what was it like being a parent during the last year and a half with COVID and having to parent?
Teacher parent, Boy Scout parent, swim coach parent, nurse, parent, it was everything society plus parent, right? Because we couldn't go anywhere. Everything had to happen indoors. We just moved as well to San Antonio.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jason started a new job. So,
well, so, there's been kind of 1.1 parents with the parents. Because he's done it all, like pretty much, like So my days, my days are long. They still are long. 14, 15-hour days because, of where I work and who we serve. And so it has been, these kids have had to rely on and have been served masterfully by their by daddy number one.
Daddy number one.
Well,
That's daddy number one.
I know, and I think it is. Yeah, you're a disciplinarian dad as well.
He's
so
fun dad.
You all are making it real easy because we got a game that we want you to play tonight.
Yeah.
So you all are making it real easy for us. So keep going. I just want to forewarn you. Okay, go ahead.
All right. I think that the beauty of our relationship, we've been together for 23 years. Like, you don't spend 23 years with somebody and not know them.
Yeah.
Right. And so the beauty of our relationship and why we're still standing is because there have been, there are ebbs and flows in every relationship where sometimes Alvin has to take the lead, and then there's times where I've got to take the lead, depending on where we are, what we're doing, and what we're focused on. And so I just think we're at the point in our lives and where there's just so much unsaid that doesn't need to be said, right? And what I mean by that is, it's not, there's no permission needed when it's like, I need you to do this because I'm holding down the fort over here, or I'm going to do this because I see you're doing that over there. It just, it's been that we've learned as we've gone along. In COVID, I've found where I can take the time to, say, you've got to stand down, and like, I need you to go away and out of the house for 3 hours just to kind of have a moment. Right. We just, we found our way. Yeah. We found our way. The kids have been remarkably adjusted to it, though. Yeah. I will tell you, they're so resilient. Yeah. And thankfully, we've got a pool.
Yeah. Well, we have access to a pool. So the balance off. So the balance what Jay said about all the work that was involved while he was working. Yes, it took two. It wasn't all just me, obviously. It took two of us to do the work of parenting during the pandemic. But for the sake of for the grace of God, we were blessed. Or we are blessed to have this wonderful swimming pool in the back so that the kids had an outlet every day. And we're in Texas and it's warm and it's hot. So there was no irritability. There was no, I need space. The house is big. There was no, you're getting on my nerves. I hear the stories of.
No, that was some of that.
Well, that's natural. That's every day. You don't need a pandemic for that. But there was really no confinement of spirit where the kids couldn't be free to be kids, even though they really couldn't go anywhere outside of we couldn't go anywhere. So that was a blessing. So that kind of made it a lot easier when we hear of our friends in apartments in New York and just contending with the pandemic and their kids' schedules, or just their kids, period, and their feelings and emotions. It's a lot. But for them, they lucked out. They had a pool, so they swam the whole time.
Well, and I think we had the privilege of being present.
Right.
I think that's the other thing, right? So I use the word privilege very deliberately because we were in a position where Alvin could be home.
Yes.
Right. Alvin could be home. You think about, the single mother, the two working families holding it down. They work on my team where, the firefighters working, round the clock, and then the person that's working on my team is working in the day. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the world changes and you've got 3 kids at home because you don't have childcare, right? Yeah. We have the privilege and the luxury of being able to navigate that in a way that is not able for a number of other families.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question for you. You just said 3 children.
No.
No. If somebody had 3 children,
if someone had 3 children, I was about to say because we only know of 2. Like, what's going on?
We're not having a third.
Right on. And so one of you stays home.
Well, no. During the pandemic, we all are home.
We were all
everybody's
home.
home. But there's a guest house portion where Jason goes to work, and because we just moved here, I left my job back where we were, and so I didn't have a job. So I had to I was looking for a job at the same time in grad school at Columbia. I was just doing a lot to stay busy, but I was able to do it all from here and watch the kids.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right, y'all. We have to talk now about your foundation. We may get back into more of your parenting, and we're definitely going to play a game with you. So we're going to learn a lot about your parenting.
But hold on for a second, John, Vosh. But before you do that, the audience doesn't know, and I want to talk about this because this is very important.
Go for it.
You are raising 2 mixed race kids. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that experience in today's society.
One presents Black, African American, the other one presents white, but they both have the same biological parent, mother, biracial. I'm biologically Edens, he's biologically Romans. So that's how they present one more African American than the other. We use the term mixed race for them so they understand their connection as well too, because they present differently, correct?
Yeah.
So
our kids are young, gifted, and Black. Full stop, period.
And they'll tell you that too.
And they will tell you that.
Right.
Like, I think that what we are trying to instill in Roman is that, when he walks down the road with his sister, the world will have already put her in a box.
Right.
They will have already gone down a mental checklist that she's this, and this.
Right.
And he has the advantage of presenting white. And so, we've sat down, I've sat down with him, and we've talked about the Martin Luther King story, right? There's a book of, it's like an animated book where, I've said to him, tell me about how, if you were in this period, your experience would be different from your sister's. And he'll tell you, he could sit at the Woolworths counter with me and order ice cream, right? And his daddy and his sister will be on the outside looking in, right? So it's our responsibility to teach both of them that they are amazing. They can be anything they want to be in this world, and that they should fight like hell against any stereotype that anybody puts them in just because of how they present.
Exactly right. So we educate them in the household, like we make sure that he understands that the love begins at home. So you have to really love your sister like you love no other, because if you let one gap in that, that's going to be enough for evil out in the world to step in and separate or make her feel some kind of way, just to break it down. So it's really important that he understands his value as an older brother, but also an older brother who presents the way he presents, but is still African American as well too. So he has to understand that that's not a privilege by any means, but it's a responsibility. Yeah.
And I think for her, it's about her celebrating her Black girl magic.
Yeah.
All day long,
every day.
Yeah. Just, and if we're in a position to do it, we will give these kids access to experience anything and everything, in the right way. Right. It's not about, she doesn't have a pony and she's not getting an equestrian horse tomorrow.
Not at all.
It's not the material things, but it's about being able to give them access to the experience that makes them more well-rounded and more appreciative of how lucky they ultimately are in the path that they're going to be able to walk in the world.
And also important, and to add to that too, it's important that she, in the environment that she's in here, as far as the school system, as far as her environment and her social environment, it's really important that she understands who she is as a strong. They're kids, so we don't beat it into them like you're strong or you're Black. It's not, but just that they have all the examples at home, on television, through church, through spirituality, through faith. That who she is, it matters. Her complexion matters, her beauty matters, and so that she has to really.
She matters.
She matters. She needs to understand that when she's out here in this world, that doesn't look like her. You know what I mean?
First of all, thank you all for sharing that, and this is a good segue for us to talk about. That was. I'm sorry. I often get emotional on my show sometimes, and I have to catch myself. You guys did it again. Let's talk about the Alvin O. McCray and Jason M. Rudman Scholarship Foundation. Let's talk about that, because that is one of the biggest, most extraordinary things that I know that 2 men are doing right now. And let's talk about that and share with our viewers about your scholarship foundation?
We can go back and forth on this, but the inception of it was last summer, with so much social angst going on in the George Floyd movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, that there was something burning inside of us that we felt like we needed to do something. Jason said to me, he's like, I should take Roman to the rally. And my soul was like, to the protest. I was like, as forthright as that might be, and as right as it might even be, I just didn't really feel it was going to accomplish. It just sat my spirit some kind of way. Like, I want to do something bigger than that for our family. In that moment, yes, going to the protest for sure, but what can we do bigger? What can we do together? And so Jason was like, it was my 50th birthday last year, and he says, why don't we do this scholarship? And that was the inception of it. So, man, I'll let Jason talk about scholarship, because it's really his baby that you brought to us. It's your baby that you brought to us. It's a baby.
Oh, sure. I don't know that I feel that way, but I think it's ours. But
it's ours
because you inspired me to do it. So I think what I've learned in the short amount of time that I've been on this earth is sometimes you just have to wait for the moment, and it will find you. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that this was a moment that found us. I talked at the beginning, when you asked, who am I? I'm an ally. I've been married to the guy for 23 years. Yes, I've got paperwork that says 11, but we've been together for 23 years, right? And so I've got this broad, diverse collection of people that are in my life that teach me every day, what it means to walk a different path. Mm-hmm. I can teach people at work what it means to walk this path, but they teach me every day. And so I think we were just angry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's like, I can't use the word. I was just angry, and I was disappointed, and I was frustrated that for all of the advances that we've made, and if I think about my life and what I can do now and what we can do now that was not promised, when I was like 18, we're in this moment where a man is essentially murdered in front of everybody, and we're paralyzed, and we don't know what to do about it. Right. And we've been, we've donated on a small scale. Right. We've been on boards, with LGBTQ
Human Rights Committee,
focus on that.
Yeah.
And this just was the moment. And education got us both out of where we lived. Mm-hmm. Right, like from small town Johnstown, PA, the path out of that was education, and from small town Portsmouth, UK, the path out of that was education. I'm the first person to graduate in my entire family. Nobody has ever been to college before. It wasn't in the path.
Right.
And so education was the way. And then, I think that, even within our own community, LGBTQI, we've got work to do. And so we were just incredibly purposeful. And we've got work to do on behalf of our, Black and brown brothers and sisters, and our trans brothers and sisters. Right. And so it was that moment where, social justice, criminal justice, public policy, because if we don't get involved in that and we're not the change, the folks that have always held the power will continue to hold it.
That's right.
That's right. So we've got to be that change. And then more importantly, it was important that, so we essentially funded 3 community college scholarships of $8,000 each in those fields through the Point Foundation for the 2021-2022 academic year. And we said that they should all go to people of color who often lack the resources to get through education without, help. And we wanted to be able to do that. And at least one of them should go to somebody who identifies as trans, because then the trans, then the accent, that journey is, and we just wanted to do our part. Like we wanted to create an opportunity that said, we see you, we hear you, and we're here for you.
Yeah.
Right. And then, as luck would have it, we've just got a great group of friends. And so 3 scholarships became 4 scholarships because we raised an additional $10,000 on top of that by just donations of people that we know and just amplifying the scholarship. And we are, what's the date today? The 18th. We're about 4 days away from announcing the first 4 recipients of the scholarship. So we know who they are, but it's embargoed. We can't say anything. We're really excited. And we're really excited to say that we're going to do it again. So for the 2022-23 academic year, we're going to do another $25,000, another 3 scholarships, and we're going to continue to build that momentum and, basically invite other people in to help us change the world.
Yeah. Can I ask you, this may be a bit premature, but after you make that announcement of who the recipients are for the scholarships, that you come back on the He Said show and you bring them. And we want to talk to them. I will open this platform for you to come on and bring those students so we can show the world once again what you all are doing. And here is the fruit of your labor. I would love that if you guys would like to do that.
I think we can. So we'll talk. So it's funny because we just asked the question, which is, can we set up a Zoom call with the recipients? Because what we don't want to be is these absent, kind of like behind the wall.
Right.
Like I think we feel a sense of like engagement and involvement. So we will take that away, and we will make that happen.
Yes, for sure. But before we leave the subject of the scholarship, we do want to thank, if we could take this moment to thank all those who did donate, all of our friends in our network. They really came out and showed the love towards the scholarship. And that's really essential, that it takes a village. I don't know if you said that or not, but it takes a village to really do the work that we want to do for the future for our children and for this nation. And there's so many young, talented people out there, of color, of non-color, it doesn't matter, but they're looking for that platform and that opportunity to have their voices heard. And so we feel that this is our part of ensuring that those voices get heard. That's going to change the future for our country.
Well, tell our audience, how can they find you? Give them the information, because when I've told some people that you were coming on the show, they would like to contribute and make donations towards your scholarship. They thought it was a wonderful opportunity to have you on the show. So tell our viewers how they can find your
go to the website is www.rudman-mccrae.com. It's rudman-mccrae.com. It is the Alvin O. McCrae and Jason Rudman Scholarship, but we go by our children's last names are hyphenated, Rudman McCrae. So remember, www.rudman, RUDMAN-McCrae, MCCRAY.com, and all the information is there for the scholarship.
Well, thank you. Well, we can't let them get away right now, because and our viewers, we see your comments and we're going to come to those, because some people have made some comments. But real quick, one of our viewers made a comment. You're welcome, Alma. You are so welcome. One of our viewers made a comment, and you guys kind of alluded to it. So we want to play a little game called Rapid Fire with you guys. And if our producer can put both Alvin and Jason on the screen, so we can see them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you questions, and each of you will point to either yourself or the other person. Okay, it's called rapid fire. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Eyes closed. Who's the pushover? Okay. Who's the strict one? Okay. Who's the tooth fairy?
Whoa.
Who creates the best costumes for Halloween? Okay.
Yeah.
Who changed the most diapers as when they were kids?
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
Okay, that's cute. That's cute. Okay, I got it. Okay. Who would the kids say is the better cook?
Well, it depends. Breakfast I can't make. Dinner I can make. Breakfast I can't make. He makes a meat waffle and eggs and bacon. I can't make breakfast. My brain's not on yet.
Okay. Who has the best "Don't make me tell you again" look? You okay? Okay. And two more questions. Who's going to cry at the kid's wedding?
You cried at ours. I
cried at ours.
And last but not least, who sneaks the kids candy or ice cream when the other one tells them not to do it? Alvin and Jason, thank
Don't
you.
look at me, look at God. Don't look at me, look at God.
You can open your eyes. Thank you for the conversation tonight. And thank. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go 10 minutes over tonight. Because this conversation has been so good, we're going to go 10 minutes over because we got a couple of things that we want to talk to you about. So thank you for joining. I mean, our viewers are on here, and I mean, they are like on here and they stay here. So thank you for joining us tonight for this conversation with Jason and Alvin. They're not going anywhere, but we're going to get into what y'all said so we can answer some of you all's questions to Jason and Alvin tonight.
Awesome, man. That's great.
Right on. Well, welcome to what y'all said, y'all. Jason and Alvin, first of all, thank you for being here. This show is duly named because you really are phenomenal fathers. The way that you're raising your biracial children, teaching them about society, the ways of the world, everything is really pretty amazing. So kudos to you. Kudos to you. So this is what y'all said. The segment of the show, we come out to the audience and we ask you questions and we respond to the things that you've been saying. Before we start, the question to all of you who are watching right now, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching this in the stream later, tell us what makes a father phenomenal. The title of our show is Phenomenal Fathers. Tell us what makes a father phenomenal.
And we did get a couple of questions because we posted this question before the show aired, and some of the comments that we got were from some of the fathers that I think are exceptional as well, because they knew that you were going to be on the show. And so I was trying to find one answer came from Darren Henderson. You all know Darren Henderson. Okay. He happens to be a little bit of family, going on here with me. And I want to read his comment about what makes a phenomenal father. And guess what I did, you all? Of course, this is TV and it's not on my phone the way it was. So we're going to answer it. We're going to answer it online. Okay. But Darren, and I'm so sorry for don't shoot the messenger. Hit the producer, me. Okay. But Darren actually made a comment about what a phenomenal father was. And so I really appreciate that, Darren. And we're going to make that public for everybody to see. And I'm going to share with Alvin and Jason as well. So, okay, we're going to do that. I'm sorry, Bosh. Mm-hmm.
No, work it out. Go for it.
Well, that's a question for us?
Well, no. It's not a question for you all. Okay. I thought I could read his response to that, but I can't find it.
Okay, right on. Okay. So I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say about what makes a father phenomenal. Now, why don't you guys answer that question, Jason, Alvin?
Yeah, I'm old school when it comes to fatherhood. My dad is still here with us. He's been the greatest, example of, first of all, manhood, and fatherhood that I could ever ask for. I'm blessed beyond measure. So, it all goes to the old saying, any guy can make a kid. Like, any guy could be a dad, but it takes a special person to be a father. And I think that's because, that there's communication, there's listening, there's, reducing yourself in order to attend to their needs. There's it's selfless, there's no, you can lose your identity, your identity in fatherhood, because it's that important that you show up for your children. So that's what makes a father phenomenal to me. A man who can lose himself for the goodness of his children. And that means he shows up when he doesn't want to show up. He gets his fingernails painted pink when she wants to paint fingernails. He's in the front row at the dance recital. He's doing her hair. Those types of things. That's what makes a father phenomenal in my opinion.
Yes, wow. I can't agree with you more. I really was trying to find this good, but I'm going to move on, and I am going to say we get delays when people post questions, and so that's part of what when they post questions, we don't see them as quickly as we want to, and of course we have to move on with the show. But we will post their comments later on, so Alvin and Jason and everyone else can see them later on. So if we can, while we still have you, we have a question or a segment of the show that we call the pop-up. And in the pop-up, we just really talk about current events. Now, I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot, but I just want to share with you something that's happened. And being that you are parents, I want to see how you feel about it. Back on May the 25th, a gentleman by the name of Tanner Cross, he's an elementary school teacher, physical education teacher in Virginia, and he was placed on leave after an explosive speech with the school board, saying that he wouldn't affirm that a biological boy can be a girl and vice versa. He went on to say, and his words, "My name is Tanner Cross. I am speaking out of love for those who are suffering from gender dysphoria." This is what he said in his speech. "It's not my intention to hurt anyone, but there are certain truths that we must face when ready. We condemn school policies that would damage children, defile the holy image of God. I love all of my students, but I will never lie to them regardless of the consequences. I'm a teacher, but I serve God first, and I will not affirm that a biological boy can be a girl and vice versa because it's against my religion. It's lying to a child, it's abuse to a child, and it's sinning against our God." And just to add on to that, he was actually expelled. The principal of his school not expelled him, but put him on leave. And he took it to court, exercising his constitutional rights. And a Virginia court said that he could be reinstated back in school. And now the school board are taking it to the Supreme Court. And I have my personal feelings on it, just because you're a school teacher, and you are a school teacher. And at some point, even if you don't feel putting your beliefs into something that goes against what you do or expected to do in your job, it doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel right. It feels like discrimination to me. That's what it feels like to me. It's just another form of discrimination. And again, not putting Alvin and Jason on the spot because they are parents, but I just want to, if there was an opinion that you had on this situation right now, I want you to share it with us if you could.
Okay. He has a right to hold his views. Let's just start there. Right. Might not agree with them. He has a right. But that doesn't mean that he has a right to tell people what they can't do and what they can be. And I think that you can exercise your free speech rights wherever, but the very notion of him turning up as an educator and saying, it's this and not this, is not about creating spaces where ultimately we create a sense of equity for everybody. And it's about equity and inclusion. So look, for me, I think you're right, Alvin, on some regard. I think we shouldn't, for me, growing up, in England, this whole kind of, church and state and the intersection of, religion in school, it was never really a big thing. I think that, again, as an educator, your responsibility is to open the doors to everybody, regardless of, how somebody identifies, and create a true sense of equity in that space, especially when the world around us, we're challenged to do that in every part of what we do. I think school should be one of those open spaces where people show up and are comfortable and able to be who they are.
Yeah.
You actually put a sweeter pill in my mouth, Jason. Thank you, because I have been having issues since May 25th, since all of this started, and thank you for your POV. I needed to hear that.
Yeah, I think the true work in this, along the lines of that, the true work for anyone is, I think the guy Taylor needs to get another job, to be honest with you. There's plenty of other jobs, right? Or there's plenty of other places you can go teach where you may not come across someone who's different than who you are. Because essentially, it's just dealing with someone who's different than you. You don't have to live, we're trying to establish empathy in our roles as not only parents, but as teachers, as providers. we're not asking you to feel everything that I feel, but we're asking you to understand or try to understand my journey and what I may be going through. So for the transgender community who want to play sports, because this is a topic du jour, schools not letting transgender athletes play. I said, I think the real work comes when we get together and we create a blueprint for how we can make space for the transgender athletes to play and perform, because telling them they can't play is not an option. It's like telling them not to breathe. It's like telling them not to be human. So I think what we need to start talking about is how we take, how we carve out the space for our transgender community when it comes to sports. I have solutions. They've dreamed solutions all day long, and I think, I would love to share them, but that's the only way we're going to get through this, because we can't tell them no. You just cannot say no, you can't play. You can't. They told African Americans no forever. They told Black folks no forever, ever. We had to, guess what? Start our own National Negro Baseball League. We start our own this, we start our own that. Guess what? Community, come together, create spaces where we're going to eventually create leagues for our transgender community eventually, because there'll be enough of them, enough of us enough transgender people to support the leagues, right? But for now, like I was reading a story about a woman playing a transgender man, male to female, great height, like 6'2", towering over everyone else. And the issue was taken up by everyone on Facebook, but it seemed like the girls she was playing basketball with and against didn't mind. They weren't at odds to it, because you know why? They gave this person space. And someone was like, what if this person scores like 20 more dunks? Then set rules. Set guidelines, create the space. Stop relying on, old ways, and start relying on how we do things, create new space. It can be done. It can be done.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Again, I'm going to leave it right there, because there's really nothing to say after that, because again, you have changed my whole outlook on it. And thank you, Alvin, for your POV as well. And before we go on, Darren did send in that comment about what makes it. Did you want to read that, Vash?
No, go for it.
He said, being a dad was a dream. Being a gay Black man, not an easy dream, but one my husband and I achieved. It is not easy by no means. It's hard. It's hard many days, but equally rewarding. I know that in the end, we will have helped to create a phenomenal individual, our son, that will make a difference in multiple ways. I hope to give our son a further elevation and exposure in life. The greatest gift my father gave me, second to his love, from which is the root of it all. Thank you, Darren, for first of all sending it in when I couldn't find it. I really appreciate it. Thank you for adding that to our platform. So, with that being said, we're going to go to the wrap up, because we're going to end the show. But Alvin and Jason, don't leave. But thank you so much for being here and sharing with us tonight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to call you phenomenal until the end of the end of time. I'm sorry. I'm just going to do that, because that's what I think you are. So,
we're human, man, doing the work. We're just doing our part, man.
I appreciate you. So thank you. Thank you so much. So we're going to go to wrap up for the evening. And Vash, you want to take it away?
Well, we are on social media. We hope that you will find us. We are on Instagram and Facebook, as he said live. So please make sure you submit questions, comments, show topics to us there. We want to make sure that you guys know that next week, the 25th, we are not going to be on the air, because we are going to be celebrating the NNPA virtual conference. And I want to just give you guys a little bit of background on NNPA. So back in 1827, a group of prominent free African Americans met in New York City at the home of Boston Crummell. They met to discuss ways to streamline communication about the issues that confronted their various communities. So at that time, Black citizens didn't really have access to newspapers. And those newspapers they had access to were often used to fight against their actual causes. So during that meeting in 1827, the decision was made to start the first newspaper published by Black Americans. The newspaper was called Freedom's Journal. And some of the first words that appeared in Freedom's journal was, "Too long have others spoken for us. We wish to plead our own cause," and they have not stopped. Over the years, the number of Black newspapers grew, and in 1941, representatives from the 22 largest publications met in Chicago, where they tried to streamline and focus their energies together for the cause of Negro journalism. And the National Negro Publishers Association was born. In 1956, 14 years later, the organization changed their name to the National Newspaper Publishers Association. And today, the National Newspaper Publishers Association has more than 200 Black newspapers in the US and in the Virgin Islands. And thanks to the digital age, they have been able to start blackpressusa.com, which enables them to provide real-time news and information to the world every single day. They've recently gotten into long-form video programming, which is how you are seeing He Said, He Said, He Said right now on your screen. So we congratulate the Black Press NNPA on 81 years of informing and representing Black Americans. We are humbled to be included in your legacy of journalism.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
To Karen Carter Richards, the NNPA chair, to Dr. Benjamin Chavis Jr., NNPA president and CEO, to the entire NNPA organization, network, and family, we thank you for holding this space for all of our voices, and we hope you have the most amazing conference ever. Now, to find out more about the Black Press NNPA or to register for the virtual conference, please visit virtualnnpa2021.com, because we will be there next Friday. We hope you will be there. The conference starts on the 23rd and goes until I think the 25th or the 26th, but more information is online. Please, please, please check it out. You didn't know, you guys, that you were part of such an amazing legacy being on the show tonight, did you?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Vash. And I'm looking forward to attending the conference. And I'm also going to echo Vash and say thank you to the NNPA for giving He Said this platform. And a couple of more things before we sign off. Next week on Tuesday, June the 22nd, another favorite show, we will be on Ask Alma. The He Said men will be on Ask Alma. So buckle your seatbelts for that.
Cannot wait. Ask Alma is a show where people ask questions and ask for advice. So if you've ever wanted to know what we have to say, what kind of advice we would give, you want to tune in to Ask Alma on Tuesday.
you want to be on
because you have never heard advice like we can get.
And one more thing, on July the 22nd, we will have our first cooking show with Chef Cottrell. She will be doing some good eats for the 4th of July. So we won't be on next week on the 25th, but we will be back on July the 7th. So our words for the week, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, happiness doesn't depend upon who you are or what you have. It depends solely on what you think. So thank you all once again for joining He Said tonight with our special co-hosts, Alvin McCray and Jason Rutman. You guys, I love you guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity. You know how much it means to me. So thank you. Thank you. So everybody have a good weekend. I got another birthday party to plan tomorrow. And so I will see you all actually on the 2nd of July. Is that right, Vash?
July 2nd is when we come back going live with Chef Cottrell. I cannot wait. We're going to have tasty vittles. It's going to be a yummy show for your spirit, for your eyes, for your tummy. You don't want to miss that.
You guys have a good night. Have a good weekend. Take care. Be safe out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it,
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.